One man turned a scrap metal yard into a $40 million operation without inventing a single new thing. He just showed up every day to a business everyone else was too proud to start. 10 more stories just like it are coming, and every one of them starts with a job most people wouldn't touch. I'm Chris, and this is Boring Money with Chris. I collect the dullest businesses in America and show you the empires hiding inside them. Today's 10 made regular people millions doing jobs nobody brags about at a dinner party. Number 10 starts it off, but stick with me because one business on this list nobody sees coming turned a single truck into a 9-figure company. Number 10, Mobile Notary Services. This is a person who drives to you, stamps a document, and gets paid for 20 minutes of work. Startup cost is almost nothing, often under $2,000 for a stamp, a bond, and a laptop. One woman in Texas started doing loan signings solo, charging $75 a visit. She noticed title companies needed dozens of signings a day and couldn't find reliable notaries fast enough. So she built a scheduling app, recruited 200 notaries in her state, and started taking a cut of every signing booked through her platform. Owners in this space typically report 6-figure incomes once they stop doing the driving themselves and start dispatching others. The edge today is iScheduling software that matches notaries to appointments by location and availability in seconds, something that used to take a phone tree of tired assistants all afternoon. Number 9, laundry pickup and delivery. Someone grabs your dirty clothes, washes them, folds them, and drops them back at your door. Startup costs can be as low as $15,000 if you rent commercial machine time instead of buying your own. One founder in Chicago started by picking up bags from 3 apartment buildings in his own car. He kept notes on which buildings had doormen willing to hold packages, which turned into a partnership deal with property managers across the city. Within 4 years, he was running 12 routes in a small central plant, reportedly clearing over $200,000 a year in profit. The unglamorous truth is that laundry never stops needing to get done, recession or not. The edge now is route optimization software that clusters pickups by neighborhood, cutting driving time enough that one van can cover what used to take 2. Number 8, hydro seeding. Instead of laying side, crews spray a slurry of seed, mulch, and fertilizer over dirt using a tank truck, and grass grows in weeks. Equipment costs around $40,000 to $80,000 for a decent tank and sprayer rig. One operator in Georgia started with a single-use tank truck doing residential yards on weekends. He noticed highway departments and construction sites needed erosion control on a much bigger scale, and those contracts paid by the acre, not the yard. He shifted almost entirely to government and commercial jobs and now runs 4 trucks, reportedly billing over $1 million a year in contracts. Margins on hydro seeding often run 60% or higher because the material cost per acre is low compared to the price charged. The edge today is soil sensor and satellite mapping tools that tell crews exactly where erosion risk is highest, so they bid smarter and win contracts competitors miss entirely. Number 7, courier and medical delivery. This covers running lab samples, prescriptions, and organ transport paperwork between clinics, pharmacies, and hospitals. Startup cost is low, often just a reliable car and insurance, somewhere around $5,000 to $10,000 to get licensed and bonded. One driver in Ohio began doing after-hours pharmacy runs for a single clinic. He kept his response time under 15 minutes, which mattered more to hospitals than price ever did, and word spread between clinic administrators quickly. Within 6 years, he was running a dispatch center with 30 drivers covering an entire metro area, reportedly generating close to $3 million a year in contract revenue. Healthcare logistics rarely gets automated away because timing and chain of custody paperwork still need a human hand. The edge now is AI dispatch that predicts demand spikes by clinic and pre-positions drivers before the call even comes in, shaving minutes off response time that used to be pure guesswork. Number 6, RV and boat storage lots. You buy or lease open land, pour some gravel, put up a fence, and rent out spaces for things too big to fit in anyone's driveway. Land and setup can run anywhere from $50,000 to a few $100,000 depending on location, but the running cost afterward is almost nothing. One couple in Arizona bought 5 acres of desert land nobody wanted for farming and started renting spaces for $200 a month each. They filled it in under a year just from local Facebook groups. They used the profit to buy 2 more lots nearby and now manage over 400 spaces, reportedly bringing in more than $900,000 a year with almost no staff. Here's the quiet part. There's no water bill, no tenant complaints at 2 a.m., just land collecting rent. The edge today is automated gate access and camera monitoring, so one person can run 3 lots from a phone instead of hiring guards. Quick question for you. What do a backhoe, a generator, and a party tent all have in common? Nobody wants to own one, but everybody needs one for a weekend. That's the whole business of equipment rental yards, and it's bigger than most people guess. Opening a small yard typically costs $150,000 to $400,000 for a starter fleet of equipment and a lot to park it on. One man in rural Missouri began renting out a single tiller and a pressure washer from his garage to neighbors. He reinvested every dollar into more machines instead of paying himself for the first 3 years. By year 8, he owned a yard with over 200 pieces of equipment, serving both homeowners and contractors, reportedly clearing north of $1.5 million a year. Rental yards work because equipment depreciates whether it's used or not, so every rental day is pure upside. The edge now is GPS tracking on every machine, so nothing walks off the lot unnoticed anymore. Number 4, foundation crack repair. Houses settle, basements crack, and homeowners panic the moment they see a line in their wall. That fear is the entire business model. Startup cost is modest, around $20,000 to $50,000 for injection equipment and a reliable truck. One contractor in Pennsylvania started as a one-man crew answering panicked phone calls after storms. He noticed insurance adjusters kept referring homeowners to him, specifically because he documented every job with before and after photos that made claims easier to approve. That reputation turned into a referral pipeline from adjusters across 3 counties. 10 years later, he runs 6 crews and reportedly nets over $2 million a year. The average job costs a homeowner between $500 and $3,000, and materials are cheap compared to the fear being solved. The edge today is AI photo analysis that measures crack width and growth over time automatically, turning a nervous homeowner's phone picture into an instant, convincing quote. Number 3, storage container rentals. These are the big steel boxes you see parked at construction sites and behind stores, rented out for storage instead of shipping. Buying a starter fleet of 10 to 20 used containers typically runs $40,000 to $80,000. One woman in Florida bought her first 6 containers after a hurricane season left contractors desperate for secure job site storage. She priced by the month instead of the day, which businesses preferred because it meant one predictable invoice instead of constant renewals. Contractors kept renewing for years without ever needing to be asked. She now owns close to 500 containers rented across 4 states, reportedly bringing in over $3 million a year with a team of 6 people managing logistics. Containers barely depreciate and need almost no maintenance, which is rare for equipment that just sits outside in the weather. The edge now is smart locks and remote monitoring, so she knows the second a container door opens anywhere in her fleet. Number 2, scrap metal hauling. Old appliances, car parts, construction debris, someone has to haul it to the yard, and that someone gets paid twice, once to take it and once to sell it. Starting with a single flatbed truck in scale costs around $30,000 to $60,000. One man in Detroit began by hauling junk cars for cash on weekends while working a factory job. He noticed demolition companies were paying disposal fees to get rid of scrap that was actually worth money, so he offered to haul it for free in exchange for keeping the metal. That single pitch changed everything. Word spread through the demolition industry fast, and within a decade he had a fleet of 12 trucks in his own processing yard, reportedly grossing over $8 million a year at peak scrap prices. Metal prices swing, sure, but the supply of junk never stops coming. The edge today is AI price tracking that tells haulers exactly which yard is paying the most for their load that morning before the truck even leaves the lot. And number 1, the one nobody sees coming. Locksmith Services. A locked door at 2 a.m. turns an ordinary skill into an emergency, and emergencies pay premium prices. Starting solo cost barely $5,000 for tools, a van wrap, and a license. One man in Las Vegas started as the only locksmith answering calls after midnight in his city. He charged double the daytime rate and never once complained about the hours because nobody else wanted them. He used that reputation to build a call center that dispatched other locksmiths under his brand, taking a cut of every job booked through his number. 2 decades later, that single night shift habit turned into a company covering 40 cities, reportedly worth over $100 million. It started with one truck and a phone that never stopped ringing. The edge now is AI call routing that answers a panicked customer in seconds and dispatches the nearest available locksmith automatically, something that used to depend entirely on who happened to be near a landline. Here's the pattern behind all the 10. Nobody chose these businesses because they sounded exciting. They chose them because the work was steady, the competition was thin, and showing up consistently beat being clever. Every empire on this list started with one person, one truck, or one phone line, and a willingness to do the job everyone else skipped. If you're thinking about any of this, do your own digging on local demand and margins, and talk to someone who actually knows the numbers before you spend a dime. Which one of these 10 would you actually try? Tell me in the comments and subscribe if you want the next batch of boring businesses quietly making people rich.